Hey, Amanda.
Hey, Tommy.
Hey, I have some bad news. My grandma's getting kicked out of her house.
No, poor grandma.
Yeah, but it's okay because I have a plan. Apparently, I can hit a golf ball like 600 yards. So I think I'm going to join the PGA Tour.
But don't you play hockey?
I do. Does this story sound familiar at all?
It better. It's Happy Gilmore.
It is. And that's what we're going to talk about today.
And Can We Talk About?
Hey, I'm Kat, mom of 3 and founder of Ritual, the company setting a new standard in the supplement industry. When I was pregnant, I remember staring at my prenatal vitamins and thinking, what's in this stuff? All I found were vitamins high in heavy metals and lacking in the very essential nutrients we need. So we scoured the world for the best quality ingredients, backed by clinical studies, third-party tested, and Ritual's Essential Prenatal was born. Join our family of skeptics with 40% off your first month when you visit ritual.com/podcast.
I can't believe you're a professional golfer. I think you should be working at the snack bar.
You better relax, Bob.
There is no way that you could have been as bad at hockey as you are at golf.
All right, let's go.
Oh! You like that, old man?
You want a piece of me?
I don't want a piece of you. I want the whole thing.
The price is wrong, bitch.
I think you've had enough. No? Now you've had enough, bitch.
Can we talk about Happy Gilmore?
Yeah, we need to because the Masters just happened this past week, which is like the Super Bowl of golf events. So my house is on pause.
Right.
And I think that I'm not going to say this is the best golf movie because it's definitely not it's up there though,
Ooh.
right?
I mean, right out of the gate, we can go there. What is the best then?
I don't know. I think people would say Caddyshack maybe.
Yeah. Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say Caddyshack?
I mean, I think Caddyshack is probably the most. You know what it is? All right. Not to. This is a great way to start. Right into it.
Let's piss everyone off.
I don't know if I'd say Caddyshack is the best. That's not a. That's. I got to look this up now. Let's see here. Let's just Google golf movies.
Well, there's Tin Cup. We talked about this, right? So there's Tin Cup.
Yeah.
Caddyshack.
Happy
Gilmore.
There's some serious ones and some comedies.
Well, there's like Legend of Bagger Vance.
Yeah.
And like those are. I'm not. Let's say comedy golf movie.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's do that. Okay. I don't know.
I mean, do you, I mean, and I only ask this because I feel like if you knew it, you would only know it because of the household you come from where your fiance is a golf pro.
Yes.
Have you ever heard of Dorf on Golf? That was like these like weird. Okay.
No.
You should ask him about it. I wonder if he knows. It like I remember just seeing it back in like the 90s. I would like I think it was Tim Conway for like the old.
What did they? It was a movie or is it?
It was just like a series of like Dorf movies. Dorf on Golf. I have to find this. It's a 1987 movie, and it's just Tim Conway. There was like Dorf's Golf Bible. There was a bunch of like weird.
Okay.
Tim Conway movies of just, and to be clear, it was like him, and I'll show you a picture of it too. It's like him on a golf course, like actually like standing on his knees.
Okay.
It's some weird,
all right,
weird, not in the category of Caddyshack or any of the other things, but just to be
that's
clear.
Like golf spoof.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, I don't know, and I should have asked Tim.
Yeah.
Before we recorded this.
Well, just as I'm looking at it, I just Googled golf movies, and some of the ones that come up are like the greatest game ever played.
Oh, that's a good one. That is a really good one. But that's serious.
Yeah. Okay. So who's your caddy?
I don't know what the fuck that is.
Let's see here. I mean, Caddyshack. Maybe Caddyshack is the most.
Maybe that's okay. Let's not say best. Let's say that's like the most classically known golf movie.
Okay,
right?
But and I'll bring it right back.
Okay,
how does it compare to Happy Gilmore in that aspect?
That's hard because I think that Happy Gilmore is like a really good comedy, not just a golf movie comedy. It's just like a good comedy.
Yeah.
Where, I mean, Caddyshack's really classic, right? So it's like, all the cool people are in it. It's a classically great movie.
Yeah.
because a lot of this movie does center around golf, right? It's, that's the whole premise is his grandma's house is getting foreclosed on, and he finds out he's a really bad hockey player, but he's got a wicked slap shot, so he's really good at golf.
I would argue this is more about golf than Caddyshack.
Okay.
Because Caddyshack, obviously, even in the title, right? Like Caddyshack is about caddies at a golf course, and it's more about like the kids working for the summer and all that, like those jobs.
And the gopher
running around, and Bill Murray being weird. I feel like it's more about them than it is golf.
Okay, so this is definitely more golf centric then.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair.
Maybe a better way to put it is, if you're a kid who grew up caddying at a golf course, Caddyshack is your movie. If you're just someone who's into golf, Happy Gilmore is probably more your movie.
Ooh, interesting. And also I would say into hockey, because there's a lot of hockey callbacks to this.
But also keep in mind, especially like modern golf, like Happy Gilmore, they spend like the golf channels there, right? There's a tournament.
It is. Yeah, no, that's completely fair. And there's also, I would say that this has, you've got a pro golfer in it. You've got the golf world is really centric in this one.
Yeah.
Like the professional golf world.
Yeah. Okay.
So we'll say that. We'll say this is the best golf centric comedy.
Yeah. It's on point at being an actual golf movie.
Okay. And we'll say Caddyshack is just Caddyshack. It's in its own world.
Very different movie.
Okay.
Very different movie.
That's fair. Okay.
So yeah. So all right, that right out of the gate, we knocked down.
We solved that mystery.
Yes. Okay.
But this came out in 96.
Yeah.
It took $12 million to make, and it grossed $41.2 million worldwide, which is quite a bit for 96.
Well, what's even funnier too is you said this was 96?
Yeah, I think. Unless my notes are wrong.
No, you're right. It was. The reason I ask is because in the Adam Sandler universe of the 90s, I feel like there were sort of I tend to skip over some, but you had Billy Madison and Happy Gilmore, which
Billy Madison came out like the year before this,
yes.
right?
Okay. Yeah. And so you look at the movies that Adam Sandler was churning out in the 90s, more so than he does today, just like the cash grabs.
For sure.
I want me and my actor friends to have a vacation in Hawaii. We're going to set a movie in Hawaii. They're
not bad.
The movies?
The murder mystery ones?
Oh, I haven't seen. Okay. I'll let you talk me into it. I'll let you talk me into it in a little bit.
They're not great, but it's Jennifer Aniston and Adam Sandler having fun as best friends. So you can't hate that.
But with the exception of like, I'm looking at his like recent history with little like Uncut Gems, which obviously he didn't produce or anything, or he didn't create that movie.
I haven't seen that.
You haven't seen Uncut Gems?
I know. Oh.
Well, you need a bottle of Xanax before you sit down and watch it.
Okay. The only thing I really know about, obviously everyone was super pissed that Sandler didn't win because they were like, that was like his best.
It was actually. There's
ever.
one I think he really deserved it for. Yeah.
But I also the Julia Fox where she's like Uncut Gems.
She was the muse behind Uncut Gems.
I'm the muse behind Uncut Gems. There's some vocal fry for everybody's brains.
But in the 90s you had Billy Madison and Happy Gilmore, which were all right, I'll take it back. He did this random movie in the 80s called Going Overboard, which I think most Adam Sandler fans might know. But aside from that, it's not like a popular movie by any means.
I don't know that one.
Then he did SNL, and he did SNL while he did, and then he kicked off and connecting it back to another movie we talked about. He was in Airheads.
Amazing movie.
Which I didn't realize was before he did Billy Madison and Happy Gilmore. Because that was 94, and then Billy Madison was 95, and Happy Gilmore was 96.
Okay, that makes sense.
Then he did The Wedding Singer in 98. He did The Waterboy in 98, and then
I can't believe Waterboy is that long ago. Like to me, Waterboy feels very early 2000s.
Yeah,
like very 2000, 2001.
Even though I lived through it, and I was like of the demographic at the time too, I tend to confuse where Waterboy, Little Nicky, and Big Daddy all fall into place.
Yeah.
Like I thought Big Daddy was a 2000s movie. It came out in 99, which is close, but it was right there.
No way. In my brain, that is does not compute.
I think it's because Adam Sandler went from playing like the silly, goofy guy in Billy Madison and Happy Gilmore.
Yeah.
And then he was sort of goofy in Wedding Singer. But then he starts going like Waterboy and then Big Daddy, but then he goes backwards in Little Nicky. Then he goes
far backwards.
Right. And then he goes, Mr. Deeds comes out in 2002.
incredible.
You know, so like he's bouncing around, like he's playing older and younger and goofy and mature and all these things.
What's your favorite
of all the Adam Sandler?
Of all the Adam Sandler, of the Rolodex of Adam Sandler.
Can I work backwards and say which ones I hate? Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Let me start there. So, Anger Management is like one of the most frustrating movies
really
I've ever. Yeah, absolutely. That movie is just frustratingly. It makes me angry. I don't know if the movie's trying to do that, but
yeah.
Mr. Deeds felt like a rehash of like just a combination of other older Adam Sandler movies. You didn't like
the
movies.
Blackfoot? Got it.
No, it wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't like, you know. I was one of the people who actually did like Little Nicky. Like I loved
Little Nicky for what it was. It was weird. Yeah. It was not, you know, I wasn't going in being like, this is a cinematic masterpiece.
Yeah.
I was like, this is a weird, stupid Adam Sandler movie, and I'm here for it.
I appreciated it. I didn't hate it.
Agreed.
Big Daddy, when I got my first DVD player, I had like 3 movies that people gifted me. It was like The Matrix, which I was like, oh, what is this weird movie I never heard of?
Wow. Talk about a mind fuck for you. Oh my God.
It was that. It was Big Daddy. And I forget the other one. I got to go back and figure it out. But Big Daddy, I watched it over and over and over again because it was my first DVD that I had. So I really do like Big Daddy. And the thing is, you know, I can give Adam Sandler a lot of shit for his filmography as of late because they're just like churn out just schlock, right? And I'll give him credit here. I mean, if this is any credit, it's not as bad as like the Scary Movie franchise where it went after like 1 and 2, where it's just like, they just reference, you know, like that's all it is. They try to be funny. I don't think they do well, but I think they try to be funny. I'm referencing like movies like Pixels or Grown Ups, or Jack and Jill, or, you know.
You didn't like Grown Ups?
As I said it, I don't hate it as much as the others.
Okay.
But I'll put maybe like Pixels, The Ridiculous Six, and Jack and Jill.
I don't even know them. So that's how well they've done for me.
Yeah. And for what it's worth, I actually like Adam Sandler doing drama. Like I really liked him in Uncut Gems. I liked him when he did all the way back in the early 2000s when he did Punch Drunk Love.
Oh, that is movie. Incredible.
Yeah.
Movie. Yeah.
I didn't see it, but I'll.
You didn't see it?
No. I saw that. I was going to say, was that? Did I confuse him with someone else? No, I thought he did Spanglish. Did he not do Spanglish? Now I'm
second guessing myself, but to
I'm
me,
second guessing myself. Well, anyway,
I was about to agree with you.
For some reason, I thought he was in Spanglish. Anyway, the point is, I like The Wedding Singer, but it was too, again, and something that I think I fault the Adam Sandler movies as of late for is it very much leaned on, hey, look, it's the 80s. Isn't this funny? Hey, look at this. Look at this reference. Oh, I have a, you know, remember Flock of Seagulls? Remember DeLoreans? Remember like
Yeah.
And the thing is, inside there was a good movie. I think him and Drew Barrymore, between that movie and 50 First Dates, I actually like their rom-coms. I think there was a well done rom-coms.
I love them. Yeah. I love Wedding Singer's incredible. 50 First Dates, I love it.
50 First Dates I think I like better.
Okay.
Because I think it's a more concise story and it tugs on the heartstrings in the right place. Like there's parts that want to make you cry when you watch 50 First Dates.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
For sure.
But I will say I think I like Billy Madison better than Happy Gilmore, as we're doing a Happy Gilmore episode. But I
definitely like Billy Madison more than Happy Gilmore.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I love Happy Gilmore.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. But Billy Madison to me was like one of those, watching that, I was like, wow, this is comedy. This is what makes me laugh.
Yeah.
This is funny.
Yeah.
And it was so mature for the age that I was watching that. Like that's.
Yeah.
I was probably like 8 or 9 watching that. Like Billy Madison has got some real adult.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Themes.
That Veronica Vaughn.
Yeah. But Happy Gilmore, I think, was more. I love sports movies. Like I will just come out on the record. I love all things sports movies.
Okay.
Comedies, dramas. Like Remember the Titans is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah.
And I love sports comedies. So I like Happy Gilmore even just for that.
Yeah.
I love sports.
One of the movies, speaking of sports movies, one of the ones that I always liked that I went back to watch again because I was like, oh, I always liked that movie. And I couldn't, I watched it, but it was hard to watch. And it was only because of a lot of that like early 2000s style they did with movies was Any Given Sunday.
I loved
it. No, okay, here's the thing. It is a good movie.
Yeah.
But, and I think it was Tony Scott. I got to look this up. But the movie just, the camera flies around. They do this weird thing where like they put the movie into like 5 frames per second and they like just swing the camera and I was like getting nauseous watching, and it's never happened to me.
That's how you know we've gotten old, man.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and that was that was Oliver Stone, by the way. I don't know why I gave credit elsewhere, but Oliver Stone was just like, yeah, cool. Let's just play around with the camera and like go into like weird, like flashing on the screen or like whip panning with like 5 frames per second. I was like, oh my God, I would get sick watching this movie because
of that,
of just the visuals of it. I had to close my eyes in some sequences, and this never happened to me before, ever.
It's impressive. I don't know. I haven't watched it in a while, but I loved that movie. And I feel that, okay, so I will say back to Happy Gilmore.
Yeah.
It definitely Billy Madison, but remember how we had talked about, I forget what episode it was, how like certain comedy movies, they have the same group of people that they act with and everything. And I love the fact that this is, the next edition of that group.
Yeah.
And I mean, first of all, we need to talk about this is little baby Julie Bowen of Modern Family fame.
I know.
She's the smoke show lady.
Yeah.
She plays like the, what's her name? Virginia.
Yeah.
Virginia something. Yeah. And she's the public relations for the PGA Tour.
Yeah.
And she's, Shooter McGavin.
Yeah.
Who is played by Christopher McDonald, is like the real pro golfer. And then you have Adam Sandler, who uses a hockey stick and is, it's like the whole genesis of the story.
Yeah.
But I love Julie Bowen in this. She's so good.
Yeah. Well, it's really funny. And again, comparing it to Billy Madison, you have to compare the love interest, because in that you had Bridget Wilson, who I feel like just disappeared after the 90s.
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
She was in like a bunch of stuff.
She was the hot lady in everything. In the 90s. The hot mom, the hot lady. Yeah. She was hot everything.
That was her thing. She was just hot lady. She was in The Wedding Planner. She was in
she's really good in The Wedding Planner. Your wife will agree with me.
I gotta bring her in for more rom-com episodes. She was in House on Haunted Hill. She was in Love Stinks, which is a movie that I don't know if you've ever seen it, because it was like an HBO late night movie that would play a bunch.
I probably have.
It's her and French Stewart. It's a stupid movie. It's terrible.
Okay.
She was in I Know What You Did Last Summer. I didn't realize that. But yeah, you're right. She was like quote unquote hot lady in movies.
She was just hot lady.
She was Sonya Blade in Mortal Kombat in 95 right after that.
Finish him.
So
finish him, Sonya.
But obviously I want to say, I mean, Julie Bowen definitely had more staying power in Hollywood.
For sure. But I is this the first big thing she did?
Yes, I think so. It's got to be, right? Yeah. Oh my God. It's literally the second thing she was ever in.
And she killed it.
Yeah.
Like, she's so good. So you've got Adam Sandler, who plays Happy Gilmore. Obviously, the description for his character is fucking hilarious. A high-strung wannabe hockey player who discovers a unique talent for golf and joins the pro golf tour to win money and save his grandmother's house.
Yeah.
Sandler also provided the voice of the laughing clown.
Yeah. You're gonna die, clown.
You're gonna die, clown.
Which, by the way, we were trying to pull quotes for this movie for social media.
Oh boy.
And I was asked like, hey, what about these quotes? And the one that came up was, you're gonna die, clown. I'm like, we can't put up, like, especially with like the way Instagram and all these places are like a little bit knee-jerk. I'm like, you can't just write die clown on Instagram as like in like big fun fonts.
You're gonna die, clown. You know what I love is the I eat shits like you for breakfast.
Yeah. You eat pieces of shit for breakfast?
That was like when I was little. My sisters, we would do stuff like, I mean, this is a very quotable movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think these quotes have stood the test of time because it's still part of our 80s, 90s kid vernacular that I think we all use.
Yeah.
But One of my favorite parts is Carl Weathers plays Chubbs Peterson, who's a pro golfer who lost one of his hands because he got bitten off by an alligator. And he eventually becomes Happy Gilmore's coach and mentor. But he was like excited to do the movie at first, and then afterwards said that he was really upset that he did the movie because of the foul language.
Really?
Yeah. I'm like, buddy, did you know?
I mean, I know, like, because when he goes on like cursing tirades, like they do through the lens of the Golf Channel, which is bleeping.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I take that back. It was not Carl Weathers who said that. It was the Lee Trevino, who's a PGA pro.
Okay.
That was in the movie and did a cameo, that he was upset.
Really?
That there was foul language. Carl Weathers, this is in my notes. He hurt his back during the death scene, which is so ridiculous in this movie. He becomes Happy Gilmore's mentor, and Happy Gilmore like wins this whole thing, and he goes to tell him, and then he gives him the head of the alligator or crocodile that bit his hand off, and then he gets surprised and falls to his death.
Falls backwards out the window.
But apparently he really, really hurt his back.
Ooh.
And he was in excruciating pain for decades afterwards.
Jeez. Decades?
Decades. But then isn't he in Little Nicky? Doesn't he come back in Little Nicky?
In Carl Weathers?
Yeah.
Is that true?
As Chubbs, as a ghost.
Oh.
Which is hilarious.
That is funny.
Also, Ben Stiller plays like this really, that is such a dark scene. Yeah. A really mean orderly in the nursing home. And then apparently, which I haven't seen, and we have joked about it before, the opening scenes of Hubie Halloween.
You told me about this.
Yes. Ben Stiller plays the same mean orderly at the beginning, which I have not seen Hubie Halloween.
Okay. Well, it's no, because it's a new Adam Sandler movie where he's just turning. You understand? He cut a deal with Netflix.
Didn't he say, though, that he made that because he wanted to actually show his kids one of his movies because they can't watch any of them yet?
Did he?
Yeah. He wanted to make a movie like his kids could actually watch of his.
I didn't know that.
Well,
I'll take it.
They're probably like, this is embarrassing, Dad. This movie sucks.
But now the guys you're talking about that are in a bunch of his movies and worked with him a bunch.
Yes.
You have Alan Covert, who broke out on his own. And I got to give him credit because I loved him. And it was, he did Grandma's Boy, which I feel like we should do at some point.
We have to. Doesn't he plays the homeless guy in here, right? Who eventually becomes
the caddy.
His caddy. Yeah.
And then there's the other guy, which is Peter Dante, who is the one who also shows up in a bunch of movies. I don't know if he shows up in this. If he shows up in,
I don't think he does.
No, but he's worked on a bunch of movies with Adam Sandler in that career. The Alan Covert, Peter Dante, and Adam Sandler. Obviously. Yeah, of course. That rounds out the crew.
That's everybody. Kevin Nealon is hilarious in this as well.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
He's really funny in this.
I will say.
He's like the weird PGA golfer.
He always plays like these, and he does it in a lot of these like Happy Madison movies, which for context, that's they just shove the names together and that's the production company behind all this stuff.
He did all right.
But in Grandma's Boy, he pops up too, and he's the like CEO of this gaming studio.
Right. That's right.
Namaste. Yeah, he's like, he's all.
I love him. He was so good in Weeds.
He was
really good in Weeds. I loved that show.
I love Kevin Nealon in anything. I thought he was one of the better and more underrated weekend update hosts on SNL.
Yeah, he was really
He was just very dry humor, just did his thing, never broke, never smiled, just read the news in like a completely dry sense of humor and nailed it. I always loved that about him.
He's the best.
Yeah.
When I was researching, obviously, me and my fun facts, but this story is inspired by Adam Sandler's childhood friend.
Really?
Yeah, named Kyle McDonough. And he was a pro hockey player in Norway. And after he showed Adam Sandler his golf drive, he said that he was able to hit the ball so far because he had hockey wrists. And so that's what made the whole genesis of this movie is a hockey player with like hockey wrists that can hit the golf ball far.
But is that a thing?
I have no idea. I date a golfer with golfer wrists. I have no idea. I have no clue.
I want to get him on the phone and ask him. I'm part of me is wondering.
I'm going to just say, as a hockey fan,
yeah,
I imagine that it would be, because the whole thing with a slap shot is, the power behind being able to flick your wrist. Hence the name slap shot. You're slapping it.
It is
really hard. Yeah, like I'm doing this just so everyone knows. This is the first time Tom and I are recording the podcast sitting next to each other in real life. And I'm doing this, and you can't see what I'm doing. So that doesn't make a lot of sense.
But I thought it was all in the hips.
You might be right. I have no idea, but I'm thinking, slapping the stick for a shot. This is embarrassing, but yes, that's the way I've understood it. I have so many friends that play hockey that are going to listen to this and be like, are you serious?
Okay.
But, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Because it is, and golf is more like a follow through.
Yeah.
You come from the top down and go all the way through, where hockey, you kind of, the power is one coming from behind, you hit the puck and then it's gone.
I do like how we're discussing this and we have no qualifications.
I
at all.
Nothing.
Yeah. Your fiance is either going to listen to this and be like, well, yeah, you had it right. Or be like, you have no idea what you're talking about.
Either way, I'm going to fake the confidence here. Yeah. Also, Kevin Costner was actually offered the role of Shooter McGavin first before Christopher McDonald, and he turned it down.
That's fun. I mean, I Christopher McDonald plays the role so well. I can't imagine Kevin Costner being like a dick.
And he went on, isn't he Tin Cup?
He did just
fine in the golf movie world. But we can't talk about this movie without talking about Bob Barker in the fight scene, because that's this movie to me.
Oh, the one that won MTV's
Best award.
Yeah, best fight.
But the best part to me is so originally that part was written for Ed McMahon.
Oh.
Ed McMahon didn't want to do it, so they offered it to Bob Barker of Price is Right.
Yeah.
And he was like, I'll do this for you, but my neighbor in real life is Chuck Norris. And Chuck Norris and I train daily, and he's taught me all these fighting things. So I'll do it, but I have to win the fight. Because originally Bob Barker lost the fight in the script, or Ed McMahon lost the fight.
Really? Okay.
And Bob Barker's like, I'll do it.
Yeah.
But I'm trained by Chuck Norris.
Yeah.
So I have to win. And they're like, fine, you can fucking win the fight.
But what's even funnier is, even as a comedy, it makes more sense for him
to win. Yeah, absolutely. But I just think it's so fucking funny that I feel like Chuck Norris jokes, I know they're not as funny anymore, but that whole statement is a Chuck Norris joke.
I agree, but I was also going to say too, if you think about even in that realm, if you're trying to cast that, right? All right, they went for Ed McMahon and he turned it down. I think Bob Barker is a better choice anyway, just because if you take a step back and think about Ed McMahon was on the Tonight Show.
He was Carson's
sidekick. He was the Andy Richter of that generation. But everyone grew up. I mean, back from the 70s through the 90s, through when this movie was on the air, or this movie came out. Bob Barker was the guy all the kids saw when they were home from school.
Tom, that is literally what I wrote in elementary school. Said, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I wrote a Bob Barker babe. My mother was mortified. That is all I wanted when I was little, to be a Bob Barker babe. I like that's what they were called. Barker's babes. I think they were called something creepy like Barker's Angels or something.
Were they really?
Yeah. We can go on a whole nother tangent about that poor man and what he went through. One of his wives was killed. Oh my God.
I want to know a little bit.
We should just do a Bob Barker episode, because I watched, do you remember the behind the music?
Yeah.
Okay. So they did one on Bob Barker on VH1. And as a divorced kid, I would go to my dad's every other weekend. Yeah. He was like, yeah, I don't care what you watch whatever the hell you want. Yeah. And I would watch VH1 on Saturday afternoons. And I remember watching it, and he, first of all, is super huge into rescuing animals, which is why
it was him and Betty White were
yes, that's big. Why at the end of every episode he's like, please spay and neuter your dogs. But then he also is very got a little bit of a sordid past with his lady loves.
Really?
Yeah. Or this may be I might be saying this wrong, and it might just be The Price is Right has a lot of skeletons in its closet. Maybe we should do a Price is Right episode.
Price is Right episode. I will say, you know how like there's all the like every TV service now. There's a bunch of like these over the like not cable free TV services. Yeah. There's one that showed up on my TV, and I was just like browsing through, and I was like, oh, there's a Price is Right channel where you can watch The Price is Right 24 hours a day.
That is my dream.
And they're all episodes from like the 70s and 80s too. It's like the Bob Barker era. And I was watching it, and the thing is, first I'm like, what year was this? And I'm trying to figure out what year it was, because then you can play along, because I'll be like, all right, I have to do the math.
Yeah.
Not only figure out what this
Rice
was
10 cents in the 70s.
It's like, how much is this baked beans?
Yeah.
And it's I don't know, how much are baked beans now? $1? And then it's like, they're 70 cents. I'm like, wait a second, that math doesn't add up. So like, beans have gotten cheaper from 1981, kind of.
Maybe people eat it less. I don't know.
Well, I mean, in reality, I think it has to do with like, mass production of things.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Reducing the cost. But it's funny because it's like, how much is this? And it's like, oh, it's 70 cents then, but it's like $1.25 now if you go to the grocery store. And the reason it didn't like exactly follow inflation is because, now that baked bean can is like all sugar and mass produced and whatever.
This is incredible. Yeah. We need to do a Price is Right episode. I think we could talk about this.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And we'll discuss Drew Carey then.
Yeah.
This is a good fun fact for the golf nerds.
Yeah.
So a golf pro named Patrick Harrington, who I'm familiar with because I have to watch golf all the time. He attempted the Happy Gilmore running slap shot.
Oh.
And it was kind of like, well, is that even legal? And they found that it is legal because you do not have to be standing still over your ball when you're playing a shot. So striking the ball with a run up is okay.
Now, is there any validity to it actually working, though?
Well, I don't know. It says the legality of the Happy Gilmore shot was ruled on by a Canadian Supreme Court. Another attempt to ape Happy style didn't go so well. Oh, a Canadian golfer tried to do the move during a bachelor party, hit someone with the ball, and then was sued. So it made its way all the way to the Supreme Court of Nova Scotia, which is hilarious.
I like how this went to the Supreme Court.
The Supreme Court. Did you know this was in 2020? They did a poll. I don't know who's they. This is from crack.com.
Okay.
But they did a poll and fans voted that Happy Gilmore is the best Sandler film.
Really?
I don't.
But like based on what? Because that's the part that I get a little.
Yeah, I don't know, because I wouldn't. I'm not going to. I'll definitely say that this is not his best film. I don't know, because there's a lot of physicality to this that he had to do.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know.
Let me give you this. The movie itself, because I was going to say, and I was going to praise it for a comedy movie. It is tight, right? Like I think you can watch this, and these are between this and Billy Madison again. Anytime they come up, like you see it on Comedy Central or whatever. Like it's just like easy to get into because it's a very simple plot and it's a very it just has the jokes and that's it, right? It's tight. I think it deserves a lot of credit there, and I think it's also well directed. This movie was written with Adam Sandler with this guy named Tim Hurley, who's
that's his writing buddy, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Who, by the way, like in the Nepo Baby conversation, his son Martin is a part of Please Don't Destroy, which is like they're on SNL now. They're like what Lonely Island did prior. But together with Sandler, he wrote this. He wrote Billy Madison, The Wedding Singer, Waterboy, Big Daddy, Little Nicky, Mr. Deeds, Bedtime Stories, Grown Ups 2, not Grown Ups 1. And also let me backtrack a little bit. He did the screenplay for Big Daddy and the screenplay for Mr. Deeds, but as far as like writing credit, which also makes me wonder where the magic comes from sometimes. It's the same conversation we had about
with Will Ferrell and Adam McKay.
Yeah, which is like you look at the stuff that he has explicitly written with Sandler, and it's Billy Madison,
of his best stuff.
Happy Gilmore, Wedding Singer, Waterboy, Little Nicky, Grown Ups 2, Ridiculous 6, and then Hubie Halloween.
Really whiffed the big one on Hubie Halloween there, buddy. But yeah, otherwise, all incredible. And well,
but it's funny.
It's very similar.
What I was going to say, and without knowing, because remember what I was just talking about, and I skipped over things like I now pronounce you Chuck and Larry and anger management, all these other like weird intros into or entries into Adam Sandler's filmography, which I was like, oh, they're subpar ones. They didn't have Tim writing behind
Interesting.
it. So
now I will say this. One of the things that I love about this and all of the movies that he wrote on, especially this one, the sub characters and their little stories are so incredible.
Yeah.
Like so ridiculous. Just like Chubbs missing a hand.
Yeah.
And, Shooter McGavin and like just all those little side characters, his caddy, the homeless guy, and then the other guy's caddy who hits him with a Volkswagen Bug on a golf course. Like that would never happen. No one's letting you drive down the fairway in a yellow Volkswagen Bug to run Adam Sandler over. But I feel like the sub characters kill it.
And this is where, again, I'll give credit where credit's due, especially in the writing, is you don't need to over-explain characters. I get so angry when movies are like, look at this funny character, look, and then like have to give them a backstory and like a deep explanation. It's just like, no, he's just a homeless guy. And he's just like, hey, you want to be my caddy? He's like, whatever. He doesn't even talk.
It's so good. Yeah.
Right. And it's just like, it's simple, right? Where it's just like, yeah, no, here's a funny character. And, or like you give a character of like a funny little side story, like Chubbs and his hand, right? Which has this whole backstory, which then, like hits its peak with his death in falling out the window because he was scared by the head.
Even Happy Gilmore, like he has got the worst fucking temper in the world. But when it comes to his grandma, he's so sweet and he'll do anything he can to save her house for her. Yeah. Which is the whole premise of this movie. Yeah. He realizes that he can kind of be like a shark and bet people if he can outdrive the ball further than them. Yeah. And starts to take their money. And then eventually Chubbs is like, oh, you should try out for this tournament. And that's how this all starts. Yeah. But his character, have you ever golfed before? We've talked about that.
Once. I need to get a lesson with your fiance because I've done it like once and it was under duress.
Okay. And I'm awful. Yeah. Like he'll tell you, no, you're not bad. You just like, don't ever play. I'm naturally athletic in the way that I've played baseball. I've played soccer. And so I get the mechanics. Yeah. I just don't care enough to try and get better. Yeah. I'm there to drink alcohol and be outside. And like sometimes he practices and I just ride in the cart and drink beer and it's great. But there is that is a person on a golf course. Like I, in my head right now, can think of 10 people that act this way on a golf course. Yeah. So like Happy Gilmore's really good at driving the ball, right? Like he can hit it. That's that first hit really, really far. Yeah. But he can't putt the ball. That's his short game. And that's what he really has to focus on in order to win this big tournament, to win his grandmother's money. And Shooter McGavin buys his grandma's house and he's trying to bet him back for it. There are so many people that honestly act that way when they cannot play well on a golf course. Yeah. And I was a beer cart girl for almost 10 years. And I can tell you right now, grown ass men act like that on the golf course. And while this is meant to be satirical, I guarantee Adam Sandler has golfed with someone like that. And he was like, oh, we're making this character because it's real. Yeah. And I know that everyone that's listening to this plays golf. You are either that guy or you golf with that guy.
I was going to say, was there any background into where they came up with the concept of this? You mentioned it was based on a childhood friend.
Yes.
But as far as like where they decided to come off with the story or anything, or was that just...
Well, I don't know anything other than it was like based off his friend with the hockey wrists. I don't know.
I'm actually just reading this here and basing it off of Wikipedia, which I can give insight into this because I know this backstory. But after Sandler was fired from SNL in 95, he moved on to films. They wrote Billy Madison together, which they did successfully for Universal. And then they wanted to work on a new project. In an office during a brainstorming session, they came up with a high concept premise for a film about, quote, a hockey player who smacks a 400-yard drive. And then Judd Apatow did uncredited rewrite on the script as well. Oh. Which is interesting because it has a little Judd Apatow sweat in it as well. Which maybe that's some of the tightening too.
I was going to say he's usually brings gold.
Yeah. I mean, especially then. I mean, this is the Judd Apatow of the 90s. So this is like... Didn't he also do, what was the kids movie where they went to camp? Oh my, Heavyweights. He wrote Heavyweights around that time.
Did he really?
You didn't know that Judd Apatow wrote Heavyweights?
I did not, and I love that movie.
Yeah. Also with not with Adam Sandler, with Ben Stiller.
Benjamin. Yeah, that's a great movie.
Yeah. So
that's one of those movies that you watch back. I mean, we could make a whole nother podcast on movies that just could never be made today. Heavyweights is one of them.
Yeah.
that is pretty high up there in a movie that could not be made today.
And it's a Disney movie.
Which is
Disney's
insane.
Heavyweights.
Which is insane. Yeah. Diet culture would not let that happen.
They're just a bunch of fat kids.
It's so
Disney's Heavyweights.
It's so bad. But I will say, back to Happy Gilmore, it is a very funny movie. And also, full disclosure, I mean, I'm not going to hurt his feelings by saying this. Until I dated my fiance, I would always say I love to watch every single sport except for golf, unless I need to take a nap. I thought it was the most boring thing in the world.
Yeah.
Now that I know what I know, I truly do enjoy watching golf and all that, the world of golf.
Yeah.
Helps that it pays my bills. But this made golf interesting to a whole group of people. At this time, golf was just for rich white dudes.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
And this made golf, I think, kind of interesting to people. And I wonder if it had anything to do with like, I want to go do that.
Yeah.
You know, like the he's kind of like the frat boy in the movie. You know, he's got a Bruins hockey jersey on the whole movie, which in the real world, you can't even go on to a private course without a collared shirt and khakis. You can't wear jeans.
Is that a rule? Like, how does that work?
Yes. Okay. Like if you wanted to come golf at a golf course, you can't wear a t-shirt and jeans if it's a private course. Some public courses have different rules, but no t-shirt, no jeans. It has to have a collar. The shirt has to have a collar and the pants can't be jeans.
Okay. I didn't know this.
I know this at my fiance's course. And some courses are probably even more strict.
I didn't know that.
So he could never wear what he's wearing, but I think it made golf more approachable to a bunch of people that were like, this is a stuffy dude sport. Yeah. We're probably like, I want to go out there and smack the ball 400 yards. I bet you I could smack the ball 400 yards, which by the way, even the best in the PGA Tour, I don't think they're smacking the ball 400 yards.
Well, I mean, obviously they had to be paid. I mean, the fact that they came up with this plot as a quote unquote high concept premise.
Yeah.
They had to know about golf themselves.
Absolutely.
Clearly. Okay.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, don't quote me on this, but it was Dustin Johnson was like the longest driving in the PGA Tour. I don't know if he still is, but I don't think it's over 400 yards. Really? There's actually like a big controversy in golf right now where they're trying to figure out if they should have a standardized golf ball that everybody uses, because with technology growing as fast as it is and all these different golf balls and golf clubs that are coming out, certain courses are becoming almost too easy because people can hit the ball so far now. And some of it has to do with different types of balls and the way that they're made and how you can hit them further or...
Wait.
This is real.
I didn't know. Wait, so you're telling... And this is mind-blowing to me a little bit.
Golf porn.
You're telling me that not every golf ball is the same?
No, not even close. That's why there's like... Titleist Pro V1 is like the most popular.
Okay.
That's the one that I think my fiance plays Pro V1X.
Okay.
I could be I should probably know this. Yeah. But there are different types of golf balls that do different things. Like there are golf balls that are much more forgiving to somebody that doesn't hit the ball as far, will help them have more air time. Therefore, the ball goes further.
What?
I swear. So this is kind of a thing that they're trying to reintroduce into the world of professional golf. Should they have a standardized ball across all the way across? They all play the same ball so that it's fair, because there's certain courses that they can't make their course any longer. They can't make holes longer because they have the space they have.
Wait, but are you telling me
this is incredible?
Are you telling me that on like the PGA Tour, which just concluded, you're telling me that every one of those golfers could have different balls that have different... Oh, wow, I didn't know this. Which there's like a TikTok account that I came across a long time ago, and not like followed, just like it was like coming up in my feed. And this guy would like put the golf balls on like this little spinny thing to like, I don't know, measure something about it. And then he would just cut into it using like a...
And you could see the inside.
And you see the inside and see what's different about it. Like he would collect balls from like the lake or wherever. And they're like, all right, cool. We're going to cut into it and see what's inside this one. This one's really old. This one's really new. This one's made of like dust. They cut into it. It just kind of explodes. This one they cut into it. It's like made of like rubber on the inside. I didn't know any of this.
It's
stuff.
crazy. Like Bridgestone that makes tires. They make golf balls. I
Really?
think, oh my God, he is going to be so mad at me because honestly, he loves Tiger Woods more than he loves me.
Okay.
But I think Tiger Woods plays a Bridgestone ball. But you remember how Tiger...
But what does that mean? You're saying like you said that
the company that makes tires makes golf balls.
But the way you said it, you made it sound like, oh, I'm revealing something sort of like
no
taboo.
But I just think it's so strange that like you can play a Bridgestone golf ball and then the guy next to you is playing a Titleist golf ball and then somebody else is playing a Wilson golf ball and somebody's playing a, I don't know, another one, TaylorMade golf ball, and they're all different.
Oh,
the size is the same. I'm pretty sure the size has to be the same or fall within. I think the size has to fall within certain parameters, obviously. So it has to be the same.
Okay.
But the internal structure, what they're made of or, like the way that they're created, this is intricate stuff.
I mean, what's even funny, I mean, I've watched like how it's made growing up and I know like, you ever see like the inside of like a bowling ball?
Oh, yes.
Where it's like super weird and it's like, oh, it's not just like a solid core. It's got this weird pattern to
something to it.
But I never thought golf balls were the same sort of in a way.
Like a while ago, this is, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago. I don't know, maybe more. Costco made its own Kirkland golf ball that was apparently so fucking good.
Yeah.
It sold out like crazy. Like you could not get the Kirkland golf ball because it was so cheap. And it was really close to the Titleist Pro V1X, which is a pretty expensive golf ball, but it was like the most popular. And they did so well making like a dupe of it that like it became people like, oh no, you've got to get the Kirkland golf ball.
Yeah. Are you saying it's gone now? Like it's not?
I don't know if it's still the same. I don't know what happened there, but I just remember that it was like a big deal. Like, oh yeah, Kirkland Costco golf balls are incredible.
Yeah. They probably got brought down by like big golf ball.
Probably for sure. The golf ball mafia.
Yeah.
But that's a real like issue on the PGA Tour right now.
Oh wow, okay.
The golf ball thing. So that's why I'm saying I don't know about the 400 yards things, but I also.
Yeah. I will say, the woman in this, the grandma. I just want to touch on grandma for a second. Remember grandma?
Yes. Of course I remember grandma.
She was the nice old lady in like so many things.
Frances Bay.
She was in Happy Gilmore. I thought she was also but that was a different lady, the one from The Wedding Singer.
Oh,
yeah, just
I know this sounds awful, but for me, it's just like, that's the old lady.
She was great in this. Well, apparently, she was in like Twin Peaks also, which is kind of funny.
Wild.
But she was also in Blue Velvet. She did a bunch of movies with David Lynch, which is even weirder to me.
She's in The Wedding Planner as well.
She is Wedding Plan. Oh, The Wedding Planner, not The Wedding Singer.
No, different.
Right. Wow. Who, by the way, I always have to say it just for facts, but she did pass away in 2002.
Oh, so. She was in Twins.
I'm sorry. 2011. Her husband died in 2002.
She was in The Karate Kid, Tom.
Yes. Okay. That I know.
Oh my God.
She played Mother Superior in Twins, which is funny.
That's incredible.
But it's funny because I feel like her entire career is just her playing old ladies.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I mean, towards the end of her life, she's playing just like old ladies in really bad horror movies.
Yeah.
Ring Around the Rosie. Oh, the poor woman. She had a good run. But yeah, that's Happy Gilmore.
Yeah.
Tie in the end of the Masters week, which it's a very big deal in our house.
I can imagine.
Like truly a big deal.
Yeah.
I think I will never forget this. A friend of ours got married on Masters weekend.
Yeah.
That I worked with at a golf course. And he was like, why would he get married on Masters weekend? Yeah. How am I supposed to watch the Masters?
It's not the Super Bowl. I mean, I guess the Super Bowl with golf.
Tom, we are sitting in a Catholic church rec room after they said their vows before we went to the reception.
Yeah.
And he is sitting there on his cell phone watching the Masters, ignoring the world of the wedding. And then, oddly enough, the reception was at a golf course and he still couldn't watch the Masters. So it's a very big deal in our house.
Yeah. Before we get out of here, is there because you're so deep into it,
Yes.
Is aside from sharing what blew my mind about golf balls, but is there anything else that you've learned from the world of golf that's like, oh, most people don't know this, and this is like something?
Oh my God, that's a whole nother podcast. You have like it's very funny because the guy that won the Masters this week, John Rahm, I always say, like when somebody's in the lead, I'm like, oh, who's in the lead? And he'll say a name. I go, do we like him?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, we like him. He's a really nice guy. You know, this, and this. Yeah. Or there's other times I'm like, do we like him? And he's like, no, he's a shitty tipper. This is not about John Rahm. This is about another golfer. He's a really shitty tipper. Like he doesn't take care of people, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, he's got like the inside scoop.
Wait, well, like everyone
golf
talks?
is a world. There's a podcast called No Laying Up.
Okay.
That is just a bunch of buddies that started a golf podcast and they also play golf together. That has blown up so much that they are now having PGA Tour golfers on the show. Like you want to get on No Laying Up.
Yeah.
And my fiance has been obsessed with this podcast since like its inception.
Okay.
And a lot is revealed on there.
Really?
And I don't think it's just that podcast, but a lot of the, plus social media. I mean, I know a lot more about golfers' lives than I should. And did you watch Full Swing on Netflix?
Well, I watched the first episode. I never finished it. I
highly recommend it.
Yeah.
It's a very good show, and you do learn a lot about the golfers that they follow. But I know a lot. Like there's a whole drama going on right now between the PGA Tour and Live Golf, which is a separate thing. Yeah. That is just.
But what's weird is which was not ever allowed prior, but they let like golfers from Live play in the Masters, right?
Yeah, I guess it was voted on. They decided that they would, and
as like a one-off or like a let's try this.
Okay, it's in the tip of my little brain.
Yeah,
but I do know the rule, whatever it may be. But I think it's like if you are I don't know, I have no idea, but something to do with like world rankings. So like in order to play in certain majors, which like the PGA Tour has major events, like there's different there's like 4 or 5 majors. I have no fucking idea, but you have to have either won the event or like be in the top tier of the world ranking in points. If you're on the Live Tour, you're not getting those world ranking points because you're not playing those PGA Tour events to get the world ranking points. So I think eventually what's going to end up happening is they don't have the world rankings to get onto these events. Maybe they have won them or whatever it may be so they can play in them. And I don't remember what the master similarity was, but there was a lot of people that they interviewed and they were like, is there, any animosity? Are you, because you're grouped with, PGA Tour and Live. And I think it was Bubba Watson that said, because he's on the Live Tour now, that everybody's happy and great and that the media is the only people making it a big deal. I don't know if that's true. Bubba Watson is a bit of a whiny bitch to me, but there's a lot of golf drama.
Yeah.
It's a big deal.
Well, yeah, for a sport that everyone has to be quiet about. I know like trees were falling down.
Oh my God, but it didn't hurt anyone, but my God. Well, Augusta, which is where the Masters is played every year, is you don't get to just play Augusta. You don't play Augusta. It's not like another golf course that you can just go play.
Really?
You can only play, I think, if you are playing with a member. And in order to be a member, it is like absolutely fucking impossible.
Really?
Okay. And lots of old money, lots of old memberships. And I don't even think they let women be members until recently.
Oh.
Like it's wild. It's absolutely wild. But it is the creme de la creme of United States golf courses.
Okay.
Where like the birth of golf, and everyone will say like the creme de la creme of golf courses outside of the US is St. Andrews in Scotland.
Real? Okay.
Which is where the Open was played.
Isn't it windy there though? I mean, like
it is and it isn't. I mean, we went to St. Andrews and my fiance's played it once or twice, and it is, when you go to something that is so historical that even if you don't give a shit about it and you're there, you feel the history and it feels like, wow.
Yeah.
Like, obviously I care about golf now, but like when we went there the first time, we drove into Scotland, downtown St. Andrews, and we got out of the car and we were like, holy shit, we're in St. Andrews. You feel that way.
Yeah.
And it's very different over there. While it is this golf course that people spend their whole life planning to go play from the US, over there, it's a public park. So on Sundays, it's closed to golf. Yeah. You can just hang out there with your dogs and like they can shit on the fairway and walk around like no big deal. That is not how the United States is.
Okay.
We are uppity fucktards, but
We have to close this out, but before
Yes.
I do, and I already said the final questions were about that, but I realized I never got your answer on Adam Sandler movies and what your favorite is.
Billy Madison.
Okay, hands down, Billy Madison.
Billy Madison, then The Wedding Singer.
Huh.
The Wedding Singer, I think, because it was like one of my first like real rom-coms that I really was like, oh, I love it.
Yeah. I feel like Adam Sandler struck something with bringing Drew Barrymore into it. Like,
Yeah.
she's the secret sauce behind it.
Adam Sandler, Drew Barrymore, and Jennifer Aniston are apparently like three very close best friends. I would love to see the three of them do something together. They talked about it in Drew Barrymore.
Huh. Maybe that.
Fun fact. Fun fact.
All right. Well,
And that's it.
So we have to do Billy Madison at some point. Maybe for back
to school.
Yeah, back to school. So we'll do that at some point. All right, cool.
All right.
Good job.
Bye.
See you next time. Bye.